And good morning. This is the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Josh Peek, and I'm sitting here with my dad. Say hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
This is Richard Peek, just coming down from Maine on his way to Georgia. And so, hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing
No,
great.
wait. Let me take it back, because that's what everybody always says. How are you? Good. How are you? Fine. So what if someone told you how they really are?
That's an interesting conversation that oftentimes people don't have, but it's the conversation that you're right. There's a movie called the Truth of Lying, or the
Maybe it's The Art of Lying.
The Art of Lying, or something like that. Ricky Gervais, where like nobody lies in this world, and then suddenly he realizes one day he told a lie, and he doesn't really intend on it, but he tells this lie, and his life gets imminently better. And then he's like, "Whoa, that worked!" And then he starts telling more and more lies as things go on, and things start happening really good for his life, and no one else can figure out. Like, they're very blunt and plain, and they don't mince words, and it's a very interesting movie. But yeah, it's the idea. At times we come into contact with many people that we feel we can be more honest with. Like, let's say it's a family member or a best friend or something like that. How you doing? I got a lot going on. Right? It's a different answer than someone who just passes you by.
Yeah.
You know.
Or maybe someone who knows what's really going on in your life. And I'll just tell you how I'm really doing. Buried my mom late in the year last year. Buried my brother a month or two after that. I should say buried my brother, but because he wasn't buried. And that was a terrible dumpster fire at the end of his life.
Yeah.
He wound up being taken advantage of by a scammer who took every penny he had, so he died penniless and in pain. Family didn't have the money to dispose of him. Put that behind us and went to Maine. Oh wait, I forgot the part where I blew out a knee. Had surgery on my knee. Didn't really heal up. It was feeling pretty good. We went to Maine, and maybe it was the cold weather or the wet weather, but for some reason it just hurt all the time for months. And I couldn't think of anything that was more encouraging to me than the idea of coming back to Georgia, back to the South, back to warm weather, back to my bass boat, back to my southern friends. So this is like, I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah.
And now it's happening, and I am soaking it in. I went outside this morning to walk Charlie, and it felt great. Now, I love Maine, and I've lived in Maine for 30-something years, and I've come to embrace winters and the cold and the snow and all of it. But for some reason, this last time I was up there, I didn't embrace it. I'd go outside, it would be cold, it would be wet, I would be grumpy, and my knee hurt. So now I'm really happy to be coming back down here, to be back down here. I'm looking forward to enjoying some pretty decent weather. And there's something about looking out and seeing green grass. I read somewhere that researchers have been experimenting with the color green, because they're saying if you stare into a green light for a certain amount of time every day, it can improve your mood. And I was thinking, well, people have this whole thing where they aren't exposed to the sun all winter and they get depressed, and people have figured that was caused by not having the sun. But I got to thinking, well, maybe it's caused by not seeing the color green. Like when it's dead, it's black or gray or something like that. There's not a lot of green out there in the dead of winter in Maine. You might get some white when it snows, but then that gets dirty and then everything turns gray.
It's weird when you grow up around it, though. You take it for granted. It's like if you take a trip somewhere exotic, let's say, someone from down south goes to Maine. They're like, wow, it's so beautiful here. If you live there, you're like, is it? If you're from the south, you get used to everything being green. But if you go out west and everything's brown, when you come back, you're like, I've forgotten how beautiful green is.
Well, that's the nice thing about traveling. And me and Trish talk about that a lot. We're both elderly-ish. Neither of us know how many more years we've got. I have a lot of friends died a lot younger than me. Recently, I forgot to mention that Mike recently died. Mike Paul, who was one of my good friends. So we can add that to the list of how I'm doing stuff. And I got to speak at his memorial service and watch everybody spread his ashes in the yard. Oh, the joy. But if you go to a place like Maine in the dead of winter and it's all gray, and then you come to a place like Georgia and you're driving along the interstate and there's grass growing, it's thrilling.
Yeah.
So if you didn't go away and come back, it wouldn't be thrilling. And it's probably the same, when you go west. West is big sky country. It's amazing. It's different. And I'm thinking that difference is what encourages you to stay alive and keep going. Otherwise, it would be really easy to fall into a pattern. And once you fall into that pattern, you're not really excited about anything. You're not really doing anything new. And you don't really have anything to live for. I mean, you can reach a point where, what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to pass time until it's time to sit and watch TV and eat supper and go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not living.
Well, yeah, it's the idea of, in Shawshank Redemption, Morgan Freeman says, get busy dying or get busy living.
Yeah.
You have to make a choice of what you're going to do every day. And, it is that decision of, am I going to get off the couch and do something? Yeah. And there's plenty of people that keep themselves busy. Like, I work with a guy who, his friends have retired, his friends are dying. He should have been retired 5 years ago, but he's still working. He has kind of a minimal physical exertion kind of a job. But he says, this gets me out of the house and keeps me busy so that I don't think about the fact that the end is coming. And he's like, the bleak outlook, he goes, but I served 2 tours in the Marine Corps in Vietnam. He goes, this is the best outlook I've got. He's like, I don't have much money. We raised 3 kids, 3 daughters. He's like, we're broke. And so my happiness is coming here every day and hanging out with you idiots. I'm like, all right, well, there you go. Mm-hmm. But, there is that exploration that I think is interesting that not everybody has, but as a human species, we tend to have, because we're always exploring. I mean, whether it's Christopher Columbus coming to America and, or the Vikings going, I wonder what's that direction, and getting in a ship and just going, or space travel, us looking out at the stars and going, I wonder if we could travel there one day. Our fascination with watching sci-fi movies where they go to Mars, we're like, whoa, how cool would that be? Mm-hmm. That fascination sort of drives us all in a way, whether we realize it or not, whether it's something that we're into or not. We still have a tendency to look at it and go, that's amazing, because it's different. Most people never travel 50 miles outside of where they're born their entire lives. And we've lived a charmed life in the fact that we've been able to see a lot of what's out there, but there's still so much more to see.
Yeah.
There's that curiosity level of, like, if you go to the Pacific Northwest and you see, these giant fir trees and spruce trees and these flowers that you never see anywhere else, you're like, I didn't know flowers could be this color. I didn't know trees could be this big. You see redwoods for the first time and you're like, this is a thing? Holy cow, I can't believe this. Or if you're from that area and you go somewhere like Key West, you go, I had no idea people could be this colorful and vibrant.
And the color of the water.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can see animals in the water from just stepping your toes in, and it's like, look, there's fish and there's sharks and there's this and that and the other, and it seems like a spot where you go, oh, this is what paradise is. But maybe it's just a different perspective.
Well, maybe a different perspective is paradise. Maybe having the ability to experience different perspectives, it moves you a long way towards the direction of what paradise is, and that could be not only in place, but it could be in people. And one of the reasons we become so hung up in, if people look at social media much, they see a lot of people saying negative things about a lot of other people because they're different. But having that different perspective, like, I've got a friend from Somalia, and I've got a friend from, I don't know, all these different places, and they're cool and colorful and weird and awesome in all these different ways. But maybe those different perspectives, just like the different perspectives of seeing different places, is part of what makes paradise what it is. And maybe what paradise is a place where we learn and are happy and are able to enjoy the differences around us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's deep. Write it down. I'm just joking.
No, we got it right here. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, video's worth more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were lucky enough to be able to afford a trip to Hawaii one time, and took an excursion where we walked on a rainforest hike through this beautiful, lush rainforest where all of the trees pretty much generated something you could eat. Some of it was good for you, some of it was bad for you. But this tour guide, everything that you could eat that was good, he would pull off a tree and he goes, "You see this? This is how you eat this. This is really good. You guys should try this. While you're here, you need to see and experience everything. And we appreciate this stuff here." And he goes, "This is this kind of thing. This is that kind of thing." And we would just randomly, pass by stuff where he would stop and go, "You need to see it, smell it, taste it, whatever." And then we come to a clearing where there's a waterfall, and he looks back at us like a movie moment and goes, "Who wants to go swimming in the waterfall?" And I'm like, "Me!" I was the first one, and I was like, "Me!" And I got in the waterfall. Just so happens it was a time where we were going to church at New Spring, and Perry was preaching, and it was a regular occurrence, and we were into it. We were drinking the Kool-Aid. We were like, and it's Sunday. And I'm swimming under the waterfall, and I have an epiphany. I told my wife, I said, "This is church to me.
Yeah.
This is God saying, hey, by the way, I want you to be happy too.
Yeah.
And this is happiness. This is everything that you thought happiness would be. Just, with the flowing water, with the sound, with the beauty of the fact that everything is growing in the area, it just seemed like a place of rebirth, a place of growth, a place of danger. Something could go wrong. I mean, this water's coming from a mountain, which means there's a well. At some point, something could happen, and we could be flooded out, and that's it. There is that tentativeness of, this is a little dangerous. I don't know what's in this water. There could be rocks here that I happen to slip and fall and get hurt. All kinds of things could happen. But this is beautiful, and this is life. And I was like, this is it. This is the spot right here, man. And I asked him, I said, you come here all the time? He goes, yeah, I mean, I do this tour probably, 5 times a week, or, every day. And I was like, this has got to be just mind-blowing for you. And he goes, it's pretty normal. And I was like, so I said,
another day at the office.
I said, do you ever go anywhere where like this epiphany that I'm feeling right now, do you go somewhere that you go, oh my God, this is so beautiful? He goes, yes. He said, I have a girlfriend who's from Connecticut, and we went home to see her family in the snow, and I thought the houses were so beautiful, lit between the snow. He started describing the same kind of poetic feeling and everything through the sight, the sound, the smell, the everything of how gorgeous it was for him to be with his fiancée standing in the snow with these beautifully painted houses and just the right amount of light to see everything. He said to me, it was like God was whispering to me, this is it. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. That's so mind blowing. But it's true. It is that difference. It is that sense of like a whisper in your ear going, I want you to see everything. And this is just one part of it. I want you to see everything though. So when you do come back, he goes, when I came back, I had been so used to seeing all the snow and stuff. And when I came back, I looked at these flowers again and I thought, God, this really is a gorgeous place. But I thought the same thing about when we came back to South Carolina, because it was almost like we were drunk on Hawaii just being there. And my wife and I both were like, we could sell everything and just live here. I mean, this is just every day, this could be our reality. And we were so drunk on it that we were both, all in. And it was just that feeling of no, we have parents, we have kids back home, and we have a grandson. We gotta be back home, but we can afford to travel here easier than if we lived here and had to travel somewhere else. So ultimately we came back. But when we came back, I told her, I said, I'm a little depressed that we're back. And she was like, me too. And I said, what if we take the approach of this guy, and what if we look at our hometown as going, wow, if I wasn't from here, what is there to see in this place that's beautiful? What is there to see that inspires you to go, oh, this is a really lovely place, and there are lovely people here, and like if I were from somewhere harsher or a country that's war torn right now overseas, and I came here, I'd be like, oh, it's like nobody's shooting you on a regular basis. Oh, I don't have to worry about food. I don't have to worry about clean water. I don't have to worry about being out of the sun. I have air conditioning. Oh, this. And I thought, what if I just treated my own personal life as though it were a vacation?
Well, that's kind of what we did when we went back to Maine. I say we, my wife more than me, because she was marveling at things we have there. And I'll give you a good example. There's probably a lot of farms in Georgia, but we don't know anything about them. We'll go by a big field, there'll be a lot of cows, there'll be some barns. Or we'll go by a big building that we know is full of chickens. We know that's a farm, we don't know a thing about it. In Maine, if you go to the farmer's market on Saturday up in Belfast, which is a beautiful coastal town, There's a guy there that makes cheese. There's a guy there that raises his own meat. There's a guy there that sells salmon.
There's a lot of wineries in your area.
There's wineries, there's breweries, there's people who make honey, there's people who do all kind of arts and crafts, and they all join together in this place, and they bring all their stuff in, and you meet the farmer, and you get to know the farmer. In fact, we know in a kind of an intimate way a lot of people who have built massive, beautiful, amazing. We know a couple up there that have a winery that they started when they were younger, and now it's so large that we have famous musicians, world famous musicians, Howard Jones, good example, to come, and they do concerts out in the field next to there, and thousands of people come, and they raise and sell cattle and meat and wine and all these things, and we know those people because we go to church with them, you know, and instead of having a farmer who, I know he's a farmer because he drives a pickup truck, and I see cows at his place, but we don't know him intimately like we've gotten to know people up there who have these small little farms and bring it out on a certain day and set up in the town square and sell their stuff. You know, we come to know them in a whole different way. So we took that appreciation and come back down here, and we're thinking we need to get to know more farmers. We need to understand what they're doing and how it works, and if there are places where they're out meeting the public and becoming human to the world. You know?
Well, especially, you know, going back to Elberton, there are communities in that area that do the farmers market thing where they will come out and they'll meet the public.
Well, that's what we're going to. That's one of the things we want to see.
Yeah.
One of the things we want to experience. There's a little town, Washington, just down from us, and apparently they do a lot. For some reason, there doesn't seem to be a lot of that in Elberton, but it may be that they don't do it in the seasons that we're here.
Maybe.
Because we are here in their winter, and maybe it's not their harvest season or not close enough to it or something like that. Hard to tell.
Yeah.
So more to explore.
Harder to tell without internet where you're at.
That's a problem.